you'll see. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
It's a great day to be a Steeler fan. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash. Thanks for tuning in to The Spread. We got our Steelers 49ers recap for you. The Pittsburgh Steelers, big win over San Francisco, 43-18, although the broadcast kept telling us it was 43-24 for about 20 minutes after the game ended.
They tried.
They really wanted to give San Francisco those extra points.
Some of those teasers might have been messed up.
This was a big victory for Pittsburgh. They didn't want to start the season 0-2. I'm not going to say, all was lost and you can't make the playoffs at 0-2, but it's a very big hill that you don't want to climb. San Francisco, they didn't really show me a whole lot. All the hype leading up to this game, how great they were, how great Carlos Hyde was. We broke the dude's leg halfway through the game. He couldn't even finish.
I mean, that's part of it. When Carlos Hyde was in, I know he only averaged 3.3 yards per carry. He had 13 carries for 43 yards. But I still think he looked pretty strong, and he was running very hard, and he looks like a very good player. And hopefully he's healthy moving forward.
Yeah, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but that was nice to get that off our back. And then they tried to let Colin Kaepernick win the game. I don't know who you were that commented on our Steelers preview show, but you think Colin Kaepernick is amazing, although his stats make it look like he had a good game, 33 of 46. Little over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times, and he just really looked out of place the whole game. He's never comfortable.
It wasn't completely his fault. They weren't blocking well for him. I mean, they couldn't get this run game going necessarily. They had 111 yards, a 3.6 yard average. Like we said, the Steelers should be able to stop the run, and they did.
51 of those yards went to Kaepernick on the ground.
Kaepernick, he didn't throw a lot of incompletions in the first half, but the yardage wasn't there. And obviously, he didn't have his touchdowns in the first half. They only scored 3 points. But, he still looked okay when they gave him some blocking. But the Steelers' defense just kept everything in front of them, and they were swarming to the ball in this game. And San Francisco's offense was just no match for the defense in this game.
One of the biggest things, I think, is along with the 5 sacks the Steelers had, they also had 8 quarterback hits, plus multiple pressures.
Yeah,
so
there was
when
pressure all over him.
When you're in the quarterback's face, even Tom Brady, if you sack Brady 5 times in a game and hit him 8 other times, he's going to be rattled. So they got to Kaepernick. They did what they needed to do. They shut down Hyde. I'm not saying that, they wanted to hurt him, whatever. But they shut down the running game. They forced Kaepernick to try to beat him with his arm. He couldn't do it. He had a couple big plays late in the game when it really didn't matter. Some garbage time touchdowns. A very impressive game for the Steelers defense, from my perspective at least. And it was exactly what we expected out of the offense for all of the last 2 years, 3 years since we've had these players here.
Well, defensively, the corners and the safeties played well for at least the first 3 quarters. The garbage time, they backed off a little bit, and San Francisco was starting to pick off chunks of yards. But really, the front 7 in this game is really what got it done for the Steelers, and not even the front 7 necessarily. Ryan Shazier was all over the field in this game. How many tackles did he have? I see 15 here, 11 solo. You've seen like 35.
Yeah, one place has 16. I think another place has 222. I'm not really sure. He pretty much just tackled every single guy who had the ball.
He was all over the field, man. It was ridiculous. Stephon Tuitt looked pretty good in this game as well. Cam Heyward, he looked good in this game.
Between our outside linebackers, the starters, plus Bud Dupree and James Harrison, they had like 26 or 27 total tackles, I think. Maybe even a little bit more.
How many linebackers had sacks in this game? Arthur Moats got a half a sack. Bud Dupree got a sack. Ryan Shazier got a sack. Anybody else?
I think that's it for the linebackers.
Yeah, Cam Heyward and Stephon Tuitt combined for 2.5 sacks.
Yeah, beast mode. That Steelers D-line is going to start getting more pressure. You're going to see that more, that 4-3 hybrid type defense, the more they get comfortable with the 4-3 cover 2. You've seen Boykin a little bit more, which we were calling for. Not that that's exactly what
garbage time
wanted.
Too.
Right. But he at least got on the field. He got some time. I think he is injured, so that is, keeping him off the field a little bit. Ross Cockrell, he played a little bit. The one thing that kind of scares me, and I know you said that our safeties were up near the line of scrimmage a lot, during the game. I don't like seeing our defensive backs as like 2 of the top 3 tacklers on our team for a week. It just means the ball's near them too much. I don't know. Makes me a little nervous.
Well, like I said, a lot of those plays were at the line of scrimmage, and late in the game, they did back off, and they were breaking off bigger chunks of yards. I think it just comes down to the garbage time play.
You've seen Harrison a lot less in this game, I felt like, than in week 1 against the Patriots.
Yeah, he really didn't do much in this game. He's the one linebacker that really didn't, though. And I'm excited. I mean, we talked about this in the Pats recap, that they looked out of sorts defensively, so you can't really go off that first game. Not to mention, it was Tom Brady as well, and now you got Colin Kaepernick coming into this game. And going forward as well, there's probably 9 or 10 more weeks of seeing mediocre to bad quarterbacks. But yeah, the Steelers defense, they kept them one-dimensional. Colin Kaepernick, we said this coming into the week. If you keep the 49ers one-dimensional, Colin Kaepernick alone cannot beat you. And I mean, Vernon Davis looked good in this game. Anquan Bolden had a decent game. Turi Smith, he's the one. We mentioned him. He used to burn us when he played for the Baltimore Ravens. And he still did it this week. He's burning us. It was garbage time, but still 120 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, what was a 75-yard touchdown? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Brutal. What about the offensive side of the ball? Like we said earlier, they did everything the Steelers needed to do to win a football game. Ben got the ball to Brown. He got the ball to Heyward-Bey. He got the ball to Heath. D'Angelo Williams, another great day on the ground. Not as many yards as last week, but he had more touchdowns. The offensive line really felt at home. I mean, I don't want to say we weren't missing Pouncey, but it really didn't seem like we were missing anything this week.
Well, I tell you what. During the first half, the run game really didn't get going that much. I know he had the 3 touchdowns, but it wasn't like it was long touchdown runs or anything.
Right.
The passing game got them down into the red zone, and then D'Angelo Williams would punch it in. But really in the first half, I came into this week saying they got to get that run game going again like they did last week so it can open up this passing game. But Big Ben looked excellent in this game. And really, the run game did not get going that well in the first half, and it was all passing game, really all Big Ben to Antonio Brown in the first half, and San Francisco could not stop it. Now, in the second half, when they needed to run the ball to run some clock, D'Angelo Williams did end up getting the job done. He had 20 carries for 77 yards, 3 TDs, and they were able to keep the clock running on the ground in the second half.
One of the things we said in the preview show is the Steelers need to get some big plays to try to help them score because they were struggling in the red zone so much. And they got that. They got a big play from Darius Heyward-Bey, a long touchdown. They had a long catch and run from Antonio Brown. He didn't have too many yards after the catch, but he got a little bit. And they had a 48-yard pass to Marcus Wheaton. So they were getting big chunks of yards to move down there. And then thankfully, D'Angelo Williams was able to punch it in from around the goal line. I think all 3 times was within 10 yards. I think his longest run of the game was 16 yards. So it was what this offense needs to do, what they need to look like. If we can play this way every week, this is what will give Pittsburgh the chance to make the playoffs and possibly the Super Bowl. And I'm not even saying the defense. They don't even have to play this beast every week. But if the offense is going to put up 43 points, you're going to have a lot of games where you're going to be happy at the end.
Yeah, Easy was pretty close on a prediction of this game. He said 42-20.
Yeah, I had 35-10 for a while. We thought it was going to end on that, and then it just kind of balked out.
I had 27-17. I was pretty close on the 49ers, but the Steelers outscored my prediction in the first half.
Please believe. Well, look at this. Antonio Brown had 9 catches for 195 yards on 11 targets. He only didn't catch the ball twice. I mean, you throw the ball within 35 feet of this guy, and somehow he's like a vacuum, and he just sucks it into his Lego hair.
Well, here's a question for you. Through 2 weeks of the season, Marcus Wheaton hasn't been stellar by any means. The first week, he dropped a lot of passes, and I really wasn't worried about that because Marcus Wheaton has some pretty sure hands, but he never really comes up with the big play. Darius Heyward-Bey came up with a big play this week. Now, when Martavis comes back, is there any chance Heyward-Bey steals some time from Wheaton in the slot?
If Heyward-Bey can keep producing and stretching the defense and Wheaton continues to, I guess, underproduce to what they would like from him, then
I mean, really, they only gave him 4 targets in his game, so it's not like they gave him a big role in the first place, but Heyward-Bey came up with a lot more production on just 5 targets as well. So, I don't know. Heyward-Bey looks pretty good through 2 games to me. I know in the first game of the season he had that play where his foot was out of bounds in the end zone that really cost them 6 to 7 points to 8 points. Who knows? Because
the way we go for 2.
Yeah, they were going for 2 a lot in this game, and I'm starting to like it with Scobie not able to make an extra point.
Dude's garbage. Sorry, Scobes. The thing I like about Heyward-Bey, I read an article earlier today. Ben asked and pushed Haley to call that deep touchdown pass to Heyward-Bey. Haley didn't want to call that play. Ben liked the mismatch. He liked what Heyward-Bey had been giving him. He's built quite the rapport with the guy in the second year in this offense, and he says he feels very comfortable. And now we both know Ben's not going to come out and be like, no, I don't feel comfortable throwing to this dude. But it really felt like Ben does feel comfortable, and they looked like they were on the same page. And Heyward-Bey, I mean, this could be a renaissance year for this guy. This could end up being a career year.
You know how old he is?
That's not hard. I think he's in his eighth season maybe now.
So he got to be around 30.
Yeah, he's pushing it. He's definitely between 28 and 30. But he could have a career year. This guy might get 1,000 yards this year if he does steal time from Wheaton whenever Martavis Bryant comes back.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Bryant, too. It's not guaranteed that he comes back and steps right in as the number 2 receiver in this offense either. I mean, he might lose a little playing time to Marcus Wheaton on the outside. We know in 2 receiver sets, they planned on beginning the season with Marcus Wheaton on the outside, opposite of Antonio Brown, with Martavis Bryant sitting on the bench in those situations. So we'll have to see. Marcus Wheaton, I think he did underperform a little bit so far this season. And if Ben can look like this, though, when Martavis Bryant comes back, we remember how Bryant looked in the preseason. Not that is any certainty, but Martavis Bryant looked great. It wasn't just deep passes in the preseason. He was doing some slants and some posts and getting wide open and making huge plays. So when he comes back, this offense could get even better. But is it just because they played at home? We've seen this last year with them. They were really bad on the road offensively and really good at home. So we'll have to see if they can take this production on the road and really become an elite team. Because I'm not going to argue with what they did this week. Big Ben looked like the best quarterback in the NFL this week, in my opinion. He was unstoppable. But I just want to see him go take that on to the road.
Now, the Steelers last week had huge time of possession with the Patriots and tried to control the ball to keep Brady off the field to help their defense. This week, the Steelers got dominated in time of possession. San Francisco held the ball for almost 37 minutes. They had 6 more first downs than Pittsburgh. They only had 50 yards less than the Steelers offensively. But the biggest thing is, and we said it a little bit earlier, red zone. The Steelers 5 for 5 in this game in the red zone, and the defense held San Francisco to 1 and 4. A couple goal line stands for Pittsburgh, not necessarily straight on that goal line, but right up against it. And the bend but don't break defense prevailed this week. Is it because Colin Kaepernick isn't that great? Or is it because the Steelers are starting to trend a little bit upward?
I'm not going to say it's because Colin Kaepernick isn't that great. Maybe because Carlos Hyde wasn't in the game the entire time. He got hurt early, obviously. But I think it's a little bit of both. San Francisco's offense isn't as good as the offense the Pittsburgh Steelers seen in week 1, obviously. But you could definitely see a difference in this defense as well. I mean, they were, like I said before, they were completely swarming to the ball. They looked like they knew what was going on. They knew the plays that were being called.
Yeah, they actually covered people. There was only one time I think somebody was left uncovered.
Only one time. Well, they got to fix that. I did not see that. They got to fix that if that is true. But you could definitely see a difference. Again, Keith Butler's first career game as the defensive coordinator against Tom Brady this week against a lesser offense, and I think you're going to see more of a defense like this going forward. Now, they are going to have their bad games. They're not perfect in any way, shape, or form. I think if you get any less pressure on the quarterback, it's going to show that these corners aren't as good as they look this week, at least in the first 3 quarters. And like I said, in the fourth quarter, they backed off a little bit. So I think it's a little bit of both, in my opinion.
The big play didn't kill the defense this week, and I think that was one of the biggest things. San Francisco only averaged 5 yards per play in this game. That's exactly what Pittsburgh wants to do, keep the ball in front of them.
That's what I was saying. I seen one point, Colin Kaepernick was something like 11 for 13 with 56 yards passing or something. Yeah. So he was connecting on a lot of his passes, but they were getting to him real quick.
Shazier tackled everything that moved. I'm surprised he didn't get confused and run out and start tackling our offensive players because he was so amped up.
But yeah, that's why the time of possession was so different in this game too. You look at Ben, man, he had at least 4 plays over 40 yards. I think by the end of the game he had 5 or 6 because late in the game they were still going deep. I think Marcus Wheaton's big play came late in the game, didn't it?
Yep.
There was a couple big plays late in the game. They didn't really let off too much, even though D'Angelo Williams got more of his yardage in the second half. But then you look on San Francisco's side, the Steelers forced a punt on San Francisco's first drive of the game. And then the second drive for Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco went 17 plays, but they only got 58 yards, and it went 8 minutes and 53 seconds, and they only let up 3 points in that drive.
Yeah.
So really, like you were saying, it was the bend and don't break in that situation. But let's talk about Dre Archer for a second. He is seeing no time whatsoever.
Is he a Steeler? Because I haven't seen him play.
Please believe. I really had high expectations for this guy coming into the season. Not saying he was going to get 20 touches a game in 100, 150 yards a game or anything, but I thought he could be a big play guy for the Steelers, and they are not even putting him in on offense. Look, this game was a blowout in the second half, and they didn't even give this guy a chance. They actually put Jordan Todman in for one rush. He got 11 yards, actually.
Beast run.
But really, D'Angelo was the workhorse in this game. But I do like Jordan Todman as a running back. I said before, he came over from Jacksonville. He played pretty well with him. They had a bad line out there last season, remember?
Right.
But Jordan Todman's a guy I like. But Dre Archer is getting no playing time outside of a kick return that goes 4 yards past the back of the end zone, over the goalpost, and that's the plays he is getting, where he makes a catch 12 yards out of the end zone. So why even have this guy on the roster? You do not need a guy for a kick return if that's all he does. You might as well cut him, let somebody else use him, and just put Marcus Wheaton back deep.
My biggest beef is the Steelers wasted a 3rd-round pick on this guy. You say you're going to turn him into an offensive weapon. The Steelers' depth on defense was not good enough to waste a draft pick on a guy. And I'm not saying that Archer's a waste of a player, because in the right offense, he could be a good player. But it's a waste for Pittsburgh because you took him so high and you don't even try to use him. It's not even like you're trying and it's not working and you can say, okay, yeah, we missed on the pick. We're just not even using this guy. Anybody can stand back there and let the ball get kicked over their head. I'll do that for $70,000 a year. I'll even let somebody crush me. I don't care. I'll have medical.
Yeah, I mean, you could add a player at any position you wanted right now because he has no position. You're not playing him anywhere outside of that kick returner position. And really, Todd Haley should be able to find a way to use this guy. He did it in Kansas City with Duxter McCluster before, but he is just not giving him the chance right now. And I mean, really, if they play like they did this week, they don't really need him. Le'Veon Bell's coming back this week, so I think it might be time to just cut ties with this guy.
Well, listen, like I said a couple weeks ago, I told you I read an article that when Le'Veon comes back, Archer was one of like 5 or 6 players believed to be on the fringe and could be cut by the team.
And another guy you said was Jesse James could be a guy. Well, just cut Archer because you're not giving him any time. I know you're not giving Jesse James any time right now, but this guy does have some upside at tight end, and he is just a rookie. So I still like the upside of Jesse James, although he has a lot of work to do. But you know you're not going to use Archer. You showed it this week. Le'Veon Bell has been suspended. And D'Angelo Williams was having a little bit of trouble in the first half, and Archer didn't even see a play.
When your fullback is your backup running back, when you have other running backs, those other running backs probably aren't going to get too much playing time. And he may be in Tomlin's doghouse for all we know.
Yeah.
And that could be why, because Tomlin's a finicky guy. But he's not a running back. I'm not saying he can't line up out of the backfield and create a mismatch, but he's just not a running back. So you're not going to list him there. You're going to have Bell back. You're going to have Williams. You're going to have Todman.
And I mean,
you're going to
another
have
factor
Johnson as a backup.
Another factor into it is the way Heyward-Bey's playing. I mean, I liked Archer in the slot, not necessarily as a starter, maybe as someone who can come in for Marcus Wheaton.
Yeah, like a 4 wide receiver package, too. He'd be good.
Right, but the way Heyward-Bey is playing, too, I mean, that is another reason why Archer isn't seeing time right now.
Yeah, I mean, he can't do anything spectacular to get on the field.
Another guy, Shamarko Thomas, we could get rid of, and it wouldn't make a difference at this point.
Yeah, I don't even know how many snaps he had. I seen him out on the field a couple times, but I don't know. I don't know about Shamarko. He's probably in Tomlin's doghouse too.
But really, you can't complain about too much right now. The defense looks exactly how you want it to look, and the offense did what they said they were going to do, is score 30-plus points per game. And, I guess they are on that average now. Yeah, they are on that average.
Yeah.
They just got to go to the road and do it.
Yeah, I want to see Pittsburgh do it on the road. I want to see this defense play good against a better quarterback. And I'm not saying you have to beat the top-end guys.
Well, it's going to be a while before they even get a chance.
Right. Well, that's kind of good because now they're going to get some practice. Let this defense gel. Let them learn how to play together. They're all young guys kind of thrown in together. It's like Troy and Ryan Clark, they knew where the other one was going. They didn't even have to think. They just knew what the other guy was doing. And I wasn't even big on Ryan Clark as being that good of a safety. But when you have cohesion, it makes it a lot easier. This is a lot of young guys being thrown into the mix, being shuffled up. Our defensive backs, we don't even know who's starting at corner from week to week, according to Tomlin. So we got to give them time to gel. Hopefully before the bye week and before Peyton Manning comes up and the Russell Wilsons come up. And do we play the Colts this year?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Andrew Luck. Yeah,
that's all after the bye. I think bye is week 11, correct? Yeah. Those are all after week 11. Until then, it's going to be Derek Carr's and Johnny Manziel's.
Well, Johnny Football could give us some trouble because he runs around like a
could Derek
giant
Carr
douche.
if he did what he did yesterday against the Ravens.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Raiders' line's garbage, and if the Steelers' linebackers play well, front seven in general, I think we could get the Carr, and he can't get out of the way. But Manziel can move around and make plays, even though he sucks. Did you see Merrill Hodge had to wear an orange tie on ESPN?
No, I did not see that.
He's hated on Manziel since he was at Texas Tech. When he got drafted, he said he was a bum.
He had to wear an orange tie?
Yeah, well, because Hodge, he's been hating on Manziel. So then this week he said if Manziel plays well, he's going to wear a brown and orange tie or a Browns tie, And Manziel came out, and he didn't play great. He only had, I think, like 8 completions or something, but he had a couple big plays, and the Browns won the game. So Merrill Hodge, true to his word, wore an orange and brown tie on the show.
I wonder what kind of bets you made over the past year about Johnny Manziel and how bad he'd be.
He's still garbage, so it doesn't matter. I'm winning all my bets.
He looks all right, man. He doesn't look that bad. But back to this game. Who would you say the offensive MVP was?
Antonio Brown. He catches 9 balls for 195 yards. It's either him or Ben.
It has to be Ben to me in this game. He relied a lot on Antonio Brown, but D'Angelo Williams wasn't getting it done. So it was really a one-dimensional offense, and he found ways to get the ball to Darius Heyward-Bey on the big play. He did get the ball to Wheaton a couple times, but he found Heath Miller in the end zone as well. Big Ben was really on top of his game. And if he plays like this, man, the Steelers have a real shot to do damage long-term in the playoffs.
He only had 6 incompletions, 3 touchdowns, a QBR of 99.4, and a quarterback rating of 155.8.
Yeah, that's beast mode. I have to give it to Ben on that. Even every single deep pass was
on the money?
Right on the money, man. It was ridiculous. He might have the best deep ball in football if he throws like that.
Do we even have to ask the other one who's going to be defensive MVP? Because if you say anybody other than Ryan Shazier, I'm punching you right in the face.
Well, listen, Ryan Shazier, he was great through the first 3 quarters. They obviously took him out of the game. He played so well.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He got a stinger. He hit head-to-head with one of his own players.
Yeah, I did see that. I think he would have came back in the game, though.
Yeah, but he just was a little... Ugh.
But, yeah, outside of that, though, Bud Dupree made a couple big plays. Stephon Tuitt looked very good. Cameron Heyward looked good. There's a lot of guys you could take here, but Ryan Shazier, he was just all over the field. They were literally calling his name every single play.
It's the Ryan Shazier show, and everybody who said we missed on that draft pick and called him injury prone is about to eat their words because this kid's about to blow up and show the NFL what he's really capable of doing. And I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, we came into the season having no questions about Timmons or Shazier.
Right. I've been
Jarvis
big on
Jones,
the linebackers.
he was okay. He had a few tackles in his game. I'd still like to see more out of him going forward.
Yeah, definitely. He needs to get a little more pressure. He didn't even have any QB hits or anything, but he'll get there,
everybody else was all over the field, though. They were every single tackle. There were 4 or 5 people on him. So, really, you can't say Jarvis Jones had a bad game or anything. He just didn't get to him quick enough because everybody else was there.
And when you think about it, Shazier and Jones are usually on the same side of the field. So, if Shazier's eating up a couple blockers... if Jones is eating up a couple blockers, you know what I mean, that was what was allowing Shazier to hit those gaps. So it was just a complete game, I thought, by the whole team. Even special teams other than Scobie, because I don't even count him as a team member.
Yeah, are you seriously going for 2 moving forward unless it's a blowout? Now, the reason they probably weren't going for 2 in this game is because it was a blowout, and that's sort of rubbing it in when you go for 2 when you're up 25 points.
Yeah, and risking injury. Not that the kick can't, you can get injured on that too, but it's a little less of a chance. You have your less key play. You don't have Ben Roethlisberger out there kicking an extra point. So when you're up by 30 points, it's definitely the wiser idea. But any important situation, I'm going for 2.
Well, listen, they went for 2 after their first touchdown in this game to put them up 8-0. Now, if you miss that, you're only up 6-0. That's a big difference right there. So it is scary. I think they actually went for 2 in their second drive, too. Am I correct?
I'm pretty sure,
Their second touchdown. So, I mean, they did it, but
I like their
it can come back to haunt you, too.
Definitely can, but I like it. I'm going for it. When you got the weapons that they do on offense,
you're saying pressing. An important situation. Are you saying that still, or are you just saying when you score a touchdown, go for 2? Unless you're up huge.
Unless you're up huge, you just go for 2. I mean, especially in important situations. I'm not risking Scobie missing it and us losing. I would rather risk us try to get 2. Because either way, you get the touchdown, you got 6. Scobie misses it, you got 6. You go for 2, you get it, you got 8. You miss it, you got 6. Scobie's going to miss it anyway. He's garbage. He's garbage. But they probably won't cut him. He'd really have to play bad for the Steelers to get rid of him because they traded for him.
And they're paying him some money, and they're still going to have to pay him some of that, I'd guess.
Yeah.
And they're paying 2 other kickers, and I'm sure they're not going to want to pay a 4th kicker.
Correct. But that's it. That's all we got for you. Great week to be a Steeler fan. Fans, keep looking out for our Steelers preview show coming up. We're going to be taking on the St. Louis Rams next week at St. Louis.
At St. Louis. Going to be tough for the offense, and this is a good game for the defense as well to gel, like you said, because St. Louis had some trouble against in my opinion, a bad Redskins team this past week.
Correct. The Redskins are garbage. But fans, you can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming to our YouTube page. Click subscribe. Here we go, Steelers. Win some games. What up, Eddie B?